like I said, and I'll be as brief as I can. Can't promise you that it'll be that brief, but my previous post, you may have saw it, where I discussed like what the the state of the industry, art and entertainment industries, and where I'm at with it, because I don't want there to be any confusion. Look, I've long accepted the reality that these brands are not just brands, they're companies, okay? And they've switched hands a million different times. So the things that you were familiar with, not only when you grew up, even when you loved as an adult of old, are not what they once were. It's not the same people that are part of the projects. They are only themselves in name. They have different philosophy that they believe in. Their only thing that they seem to have kept is a lot of their outdated economic model. Okay. For me, I do believe there's a differentiation. And there's a lot of people in the space that, and I've talked about this many times before, that want to go back to the status quo that was. Okay. And this is why the nostalgia bait always works, where people will give them always the benefit of the doubt. Why? Because they control something that you've enjoyed in the past. Okay. So I get that. I empathize with that position, certainly. But I've come to the realization that's a pipe dream. Okay. And when you grew up, there were new things being created. When my mother grew up, the new things that were being created. I don't understand why we act like history has to stop where it was at. And now we can't lead the charge and create something that can maybe last for decades. So I'm not of the opinion, which I know a lot of people are, hey, protect the status quo and bring it back. There's a lot of people, and I need you to understand, this is going to be a harsh reality. There's a lot of people that benefit from the status quo being what it is. Not only what it is has been before, but what it is right now. Okay? You look at, let's say, comic book industry. Let's make it personable. The comic book industry, there are so many people that benefited from it being in the state that it is. Not just the people that are creators, but also the people that have got followings in the commentary space, the access media. All of these guys want the status quo to be what it is because they benefited the most from it. I, on the other hand, don't care about that. So I'm not in the interest of trying to revise or hoping that these companies revise themselves. I'm not interested in it at all. I don't want the status quo. Oh, I want it to be completely upended. Now, the reason why so many people don't like that is because there's a lot of uncertainty that comes with it, right? Everything's comfortable. It's familiar. When you get rid of that, chair gets pulled. Who knows what's on the other side of how the entertainment industries are going to be? We don't know what it looks like. And I've said plenty of times, even if I am not a part of it, I still want it upended. So even if everything ends, even if it and there's not a spot for me. There's not a spot for the Rippaverse. Rippaverse aren't the one to see in the success. Still, I don't care. I would still want it to be changed. Why? Because, yeah, there's been a content problem that I've talked many times about. It's not just about this woke stuff. It's a million different lines. People that have followed me for years know that was only a slither of some of the stuff that I would talk about that plagued the comic book industry. But a lot of these economic models are archaic. The way their corporate entities are set up, there's no incentive to have a soul. You know what I mean? You're actually soulless. So I want something new in the sense that people that look at the landscape of what it is and try to be like better. Okay, that's actually the closest that you're going to get to the old status quo. It's not going to come from Disney. It's not going to come from the properties that they've fucking got hold of. So Marvel, DC, or Marvel, Star Wars, it's not happening. DC, it's not happening. Warner, it's not. These guys, they're not going to be what gets you out of this, let's say, rut where people feel like the American entertainment is so mundane right now, which is why they've now seemed to become, at least in the comic book space, a net like importer, right? Japanese stuff has grown. Why? It's not because they're doing anything better than what they had been before. Comparatively, they're being better than maybe the American product. But as far as the stuff that they release, it's the same beat that it's been for the last 50 years. They haven't changed much. Last 40 years, they haven't changed much. It's the same beat, but it's way better than what the shot callers are producing. Okay? So my thing is, you're not going to get it from them. So I'm okay with the art and entertainment industries being upended. Whether I have a spot, do I want one? Of course. I'm a businessman, man. I want to be great. I want the Riververse to thrive. I want it to continue to grow. But even if I'm not a part of what the other side looks like, because it's so jacked up, it deserves to be upended. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Perfectly okay with that. So, you know, I guess that's what differentiates me from and folks like myself from those that you can tell kind of are more so clinging to the idea that maybe we could these brands that you've recognized and grown to love can return at some point to what they once were. It's not happening. I think that's a pipe dream. I mean, again, I empathize with it. It's not like I burned my books of Marvel and DC. They're in my long boxes. I can refer to them. We can reminisce about what was, you know. But as far as new content, it's not going to come from them. And this is a good thing, actually, because you can correct the course. Individuals that are getting out there trying to be part of the solution are able to correct course, not just in content, but how they do business. Yep, these artists aren't getting paid. They're broke as a joke under these massive mega corporate entities. They're not benefiting from it. You could correct the course. You can build something that's going to be better. And I welcome that. That's awesome. That's great. Take advantage. You know, we should be entering into a creative renaissance. And I think we are. As I mentioned, all these other, I love seeing these guys that are in our corner of the internet, man, doing great things. I see Razorfist doing great things. I see Drunk 3PO doing great things with their own creations, things that they put pen to pad and allowed it to manifest. I love to see that. And we need more of it. Even if it doesn't come from people that I'm necessarily familiar with. You know, they're good peoples. Cool. You know, whatever. Go back, get out there and be great. Nobody has a monopoly at all on creativity. You know what I'm saying? Everybody can get it. The pie's not fixed. If you have a demand, you have a demand. It doesn't matter how other people feel about that. So go out there and be great. But to those of you, I would encourage you to end on this note. I would encourage you to rethink this idea that the brands of old are going to become the way that they are once again, the way that they were once again. It's just, it's highly unlikely. Their economics, their corporate setup doesn't even allow them to do that. And what they prioritize does not allow them to do that. It doesn't encourage that. It doesn't incentivize. And that's okay. Again, there were things that didn't exist when in your youth that were created and have built, you know, have seen a level of success for decades. You can create today and maybe in the next future or the upcoming future, 20, 30 years, you have something that's stuck. One can only hope. But actually, not one can only hope, one can only work. Because this isn't something that's just going to happen overnight, and it's not something that you're going to stumble into. It's going to take work from real people. And I encourage you guys to get out there and be great. If you enjoyed this video and want to support other content, please become a member at ericdjuly.com. This is my own unique platform that replaced my Patreon. Our Ultramax, which is our highest tier, gets free shipping domestically even with Rippaverse orders and are able to redeem the Creators Edition copy of ISOM #1. You can move up and down tiers or cancel at any time. Also visit Rippaverse.com. This is my comic book company that launched a $3.7 million campaign. We appreciate your support.